Section 0 of Commentary on the Epistles of Paul the Apostle to the Corinthians, Volume 1. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Commentary on the Epistles of Paul the Apostle to the Corinthians, Volume 1, by John Calvin. Translated by Reverend John Pringle. Translator's Preface, Part 1. The 16th century was distinguished by a large and valuable accession of expositors of the sacred volume. Mosheim reckons up not fewer than 55 writers, who, in the course of that century, devoted their labors to a greater or less extent to the interpretation or illustration of the inspired writings, a circumstance which at once indicated the progress of the principles of the Reformation and contributed most materially to their diffusion. Nor were expository treatises in illustration of the sacred Scriptures simply increased in number. They were marked by a decided improvement in point of intrinsic value. It is to the honor of a large proportion of the interpreters of that age that, rejecting the practice so well exposed by Bishop Horsley of drawing I know not what mystical meanings by a certain Kabbalistic alchemy from the simplest expressions of Holy Writ, they made it their endeavor in every case to ascertain the true meaning of the Spirit of God by a careful examination of the text and context. In unbending integrity of purpose in the investigation of the inspired oracles, which must be regarded as one of the primary excellences of an expositor, John Calvin is surpassed by none in his own, or indeed in any age. His readers, even where they may not be prepared to adopt his interpretation of a passage, cannot fail to perceive that it is his sincere desire and honest endeavor to ascertain its true meaning. His uprightness of design is more especially observable in connection with passages bearing on controverted points. In such cases, the candid reader will discover no disposition to wrest a single expression for the purpose of enlisting it on the side of a particular system of opinion, but, on the contrary, the utmost fairness of interpretation is uniformly apparent. Everyone that is acquainted with Calvin's history, and considers the trying scenes through which he was called to pass, must feel astonished that he should have found leisure to prepare, in addition to all his other writings, commentaries on nearly the whole of the sacred Scriptures. That he wrote so much, and more especially as an expositor, appears to have been chiefly owing to the frequent and urgent solicitations of his intimate and beloved friend, Farel, who not merely entreated Calvin, but frequently urged him with great vehemence to write one commentary after another, from a conviction that he possessed the gifts requisite for exposition in a very extraordinary manner, and that, with the blessing of God, his works of this kind would be extensively useful. "Being an inconsiderable man myself," said he, "I am wont to require very much from those that possess the greatest excellence, and often press them hard to labor beyond their strength." It was his conviction that every one who had received superior talents was bound to devote them to the advancement of the kingdom of God. The Epistles of Paul to the Corinthians form a most important part of the sacred writings. Though not so systematic as the Epistle to the Romans, they contain many passages bearing directly on the fundamentally important doctrines of the Christian system, while they are of the highest utility in connection with practical theology.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?